in my statement that the total number of SNE, and these are various categories, the physically handicapped, dyslexics, the blind, the deaf, and all the others, are 4,802. This is 4.5% increase from last year. Now, if we split these, the 4,802, 3,619 are at PLE, 670 are UCE, and 513 are UACE. So this is the status of the SNE. Now, for sanctions, for a fact, the first step we shall take, of course, will be to withhold the results of those candidates who have been declared fraudulently as SNE. Other sanctions will follow. You will be informed when we get them.
Thank you so much. Since there is no any other question at this moment, let me invite Mama Pio to give us a calendar.
This examination marks the second time that we are conducting the UCE under the competency-based curriculum. And this examination will commence on October 10th with the briefing of the Uganda Certificate of Education examinations. Then the primary living examination will come in with a briefing on October 31st. And then finally, the Uganda Certificate of Advanced Certificate of Education will close with a briefing on the 7th of November 2025. When you get our printout, we will give you a table that summarizes these dates. Heads of examination centers can access these timetables on the portals. We also have hard copies which are being distributed, particularly to the UCE and UACE examination centers as they come to collect the examination stationery. For the UCE and UACE, every candidate should receive a copy of the timetable. This is precisely because these examinations take many days, and candidates need to have a reference material to remind themselves of the examination papers that they have been entered for. We have not normally printed for PLE because of the fact that it's a short examination, and the display of these timetables on these notice boards have normally been sufficient. But we also expect the UCE and USC examination centers to display the timetables on the notice boards in prominent places where any other interested party can access. We have also produced the Braille versions for our students, our candidates with visual impairment. Members of the press, as you know, we always have a theme for our examinations. Last year, we had the theme Embracing Security and Holistic Assessment of Learners in a Dynamic Environment. We considered this theme as a board, and we realized that the theme is still relevant because we still worry and concern ourselves about the security of our examinations, if only to ensure that the results that we shall release and the consequent certificates that we shall issue will be valid and reliable. And if we have to guarantee the validity and reliability of our academic documents, the process must be handled with the high levels of security. We are also embarking on, or we have already embarked on, the assessment of learners in a holistic manner. In other words, the competency-based curriculum that is now at UCE and will soon come on board with UACE, and similar modifications being done at the PLE, will require that the board is assessing the candidates holistically. In other words, designing assessment instruments that will test the cognitive abilities of our candidates, and through the other assessment activities like the projects, our candidates are also assessed on what they can do with their hands, and also eventually the attitudes and so on. So this is holistic assessment that we are embarking on as a paradigm shift from what we have been doing in the past. And therefore, our theme still addresses this. We are also aware now, with the advent of artificial intelligence and other rapid developments in technology, that our assessment as a board and as a country must take this into account. And therefore, the board came to the conclusion that our theme, embracing security and holistic assessment of learners in a dynamic environment, will still be able to guide us through this examination period. When we registration, towards the end of the registration, we issued a circular to inform schools that it is mandatory to display the registers. The law, the UNEB Act, Cap 259, Section 4, subsection 2, requires that these registers should be displayed for a minimum period of 60 days. The purpose for displaying the registers this early before the examination is to ensure that the registered candidates have the opportunity to examine the registers, particularly in respect of the details that have been entered for each one of them. The subjects that they have entered for, particularly at UCE and UACE, the names that have been recorded in the register, and other biodata details like their dates of birth, gender, and so on and so forth. This is important because when errors are detected, then these errors must be reported to Uganda National Examinations Board for necessary correction before the examination starts. And so we encourage that the display of the registers should continue up to the 10th of October this year. And we encourage our candidates and even parents to look out for the correctness of the order, particularly the order of names, dates of birth, their gender, and also the resolution of the photographs that have been captured. Because these are the photographs that eventually will appear on the candidates' documents, the result slips, as well as the certificates when they are eventually issued. And so if the photographs that are submitted are of low resolution and of poor quality, that will subsequently also reflect in the certificates. Provisional candidature, we inform you that as of last evening, we have registered a total of 1,416,468 candidates from the three examinations. This is an increase of 107,470, or 7.5% compared to last year's candidature, which was 1,308,999. Of the total registered, 51.5% are female and 48.5% are male. The candidature at PLE has increased from 797,444 in 2024 to now 818,010, giving us a percentage increase of 2.5. At UCE, the percentage increase is 12.1%, with the candidature rising from 379,699 last year, 2024, to now 432,025. The USCE has recorded the greatest percentage increase of 14.7%, rising from 141,996 last year to 166,433. We are saying these are provisional because it is still possible, like it happened on Thursday last week. We discovered a school around Lugazi with 138 UCE candidates or students and 10 USCE students who had not been registered at all. And so the board had to take the necessary action to include this. So we are saying this is provisional because it is possible that another school like that might still be somewhere, about which we have got to take action. Of the we have registered 4,802 are our special needs learners, and this also represents an increase of 4.5% from 4,587 last year. And these include 3,619 for PLE, 670 for UCE, and 513 for USCE. When you get the statement, there will be a table summarizing these figures. In terms of funding, 719,016, or 51% of the learners that we have registered at all the three levels are beneficiaries of the Uganda Universal Education Program. I make a comment on continuous assessment. As a requirement under the competency-based curriculum, continuous assessment, which we abbreviate as CA, contributes 20% towards the final examination score, with the 80% coming from the end of cycle examination, which we are about to start conducting. We also have the project, which you know about. This is a standalone. It appears independently on the certificate, and it is assessed as such. When we started the registration this year, we had a challenge with the submission of CA scores from schools, but I'm happy to inform you members of the press that all the scores for Term 1 were submitted, because these scores must come in termly, and as I speak now, 96% of the scores for Term 2 have been submitted. And I would like to encourage the teachers or the head teachers of the 4% of the centers that have not submitted to please do so, because our end date is 30th of September. Today is 22nd, so we have 8 days. And we believe that within these 8 days, the 4% left, which is quite significant still, because all schools must submit. We hope they will have done that in time. We have in the past, and I will do so now, to caution heads of centers, particularly at primary level, who have started submitting to us candidates registered as special needs education candidates, when in fact they are normal candidates. And the aim of these centers is to benefit from the assistance that special needs candidates are given, which includes 45 minutes extra time. This is criminal, it is fraudulent, And any school that will not have taken this heed of this warning, when eventually our teams that will be going around find out this kind of fraud, sanctions will be applied against such schools. Because this gives a very, very unfair advantage of otherwise normal children who are treated as if they need assistance like the other disadvantaged children. We'd also like to inform our stakeholders that the board has updated the past papers that are published. They are popularly called question paper banks by those who buy them. And we have for the first time printed these banks, if I may use the word, for the UCE competency-based examinations. So they are now available at our sale points, and they can be purchased to be able to give the candidates a feel of what the new format under the CBC will look like. Just for information on other examination-related activities that are taking place, the board held a very successful two-day engagement with the district, city, and municipal inspectors of schools last Thursday and Friday, and some sizable number of media houses covered this event. From today up to the end of this week, the board will be conducting engagements with all area supervisors and heads of centers for the UCE and USCE examinations, also to share with them the preparations for the conduct of the examinations. And as we speak now, examination centers for UCE and USCE are picking materials from our warehouses at Ntinda industrial area. I would like to encourage heads of centers to pick their materials in good time to avoid the usual congestion that takes place for those who want to wait for the deadline to pick these materials. Members of the press, it's now my pleasure to launch the timetables for our 3 examinations. Starting with the PLE. And then for the Uganda Certificate of Education examination, and finally for the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education examination.
Good.